Friday, Erev Shabbos, Olosma, and there's many people davening here. Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael comes together, daven, hearts, all Jewish people are one. But as I sit here in front of the Zion, Leah Menu, I must uh, mention that Leah Menu, the Torah tells us about Leah Menu, Leah Einu Achoseh. The eyes of Leah were soft with tears. Chazal tell us, Gemara Medrash tells us that Leah Menu, sister Rachel, his two sisters, two brothers, Yaakov and Esav. People at the crossroads said, there's two children to Yaakov, has two children, and Laban has two children, two daughters. The older and younger daughter of Laban will go to the older and younger son, Yaakov, of Yitzhak Avinu. And Leah's whole life, she was slated to marry Esav. For that reason, she cried and she cried and she cried. Leah's eyes were soft with tears because she, her whole life, lived with this reality that she was slated to marry Esav, and that caused her very, very great pain. Because she was a tzaddikas, she'ein kamo, she was an incredible tzaddikas, and her heart was distraught over this possibility. And Leah Mena taught us what it is to cry about shidduch. Recently, I was by Moshe Sternbach. She did well. Just had an operation. Abduch Moshe by Tvora. Just had a pacemaker put in. Hashem, the operation was successful. She lived to be 120 and to be strong and healthy. And he told me, I didn't even say anything. He said, not tefillah, tchila. And this was his advice about shidduchim. He said, it doesn't help to daven normally. You have to daven with tears. If you want your prayers to answer, you have to daven with tears. And this is what Leah Mena taught us. Leah Mena had such a hard life. First, for her entire single life, she was slated to marry Esav HaRasha. And the day she got married to Yaakov, it says, Vayar Hashem ki snua Leah, v'yiftagas Rachel. There wasn't one day in her life that Leah wasn't suffering, either with the thought of marrying Esav, and finally when she got married, the fact that her husband had a sina for her because he was tricked into marrying. Leah Menu's heart was broken, and because of that, tears flowed out from her heart. And Leah Menu is a teacher to all of us. All of us who are davening for shidduchim, for parnasa, for our children, for our health, for anything that we need. Leah Menu has taught us how to pray. That's one thing. And she's taught us also, Hashem wants our tefillahs, so He gives us saras. It was very hard. She had a very hard life, Leah Menu. Leah Menu had a very hard life. But, Leah Einu Rachoseh. The eyes of Leah were rachos. They were filled with tears. They were rachos. You know, if you put something in water for a long, long time, it gets soft. That's called shriya, or kavush kamavushal. Leah's eyes were cooked in tears. Her whole life she was crying and crying. We know that tears they're difficult, they're stinging to the eyes. Leah's eyes were soaked in tears, to the point where her eyes became soft, as if been soaked for many, many years, kavush kamavushal, in tears. And it's a lesson for every single one of us. If we want our feelings to be answered, which obviously we all want, then our job is to soak our eyes in tears, flood our eyes in tears, because tears are the opening to the heart. And when our heart is open, then our feelings go straight up to Shemayim. The reason that our tefillahs are not answered, Moshe Sternbach told me, is that they're not filled with tears. And Leah Mano has taught us that. And if Leah Mano would think about her life, think what she was slated for, she was slated to marry Esav. And the day she finally fulfilled her dreams, not to marry Esav, she marries Yaakov, and she's V'yarash and Islula. Leah, there was not one day in Leah's life when she wasn't suffering. Yet, she took that suffering and she turned it into tears to Hashem. And she directed her tefillahs to the Borei Olam. And this is a lesson, this is a prototype for every single one of us. This is where we should direct our tears. I heard once from Shimshon Pinkus, one of the Gedolim, I believe it was Rav Baruch Bear, was going through incredibly difficult asoyim, and he took the pain and he was mechaber to the Borei Olam. And this is what every one single one of us has to do. We have to know Hashem is infinitely merciful. If He's given us a hard situation, then it's because He loves us. And He knows that that difficult situation will unlock our hearts and bring us toward tears. And those tears, as we say in the kinos, Hashem takes the tears and He puts them in a special flask and He counts them. When you count something, it makes it special. It's called the Davar Shebaminion. Every single tear that we shed, every single tear that comes out of Jewish eye is very, very special. And Hashem wants it, and He's longing for those tears. We know that water gives life. Many of our tefillahs are for mine. Water gives life. The tears that come from prayer, they're the streams of the heart. And Hashem wants heart. How does Hashem get our heart? Hashem acquires our heart through our tears. The tears are the connection to the heart, and we can give our hearts over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I know many people listening to this year are suffering, and they're going through a hard time. They have difficulties. I just want to tell you that I'm with you. I want to tell you what my Rebbe told me when I went to him many years ago. When we had such sorrows, I told him, he said, I'm not I don't know what to tell you, but I have so much mercy for you. And that's why I feel when I hear stories about people who suffer. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not the Borei Olam. But I can tell you one thing. If we turn our hearts to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinitely merciful. He wants our hearts. He wants to give to us. He wants us to be close to Him. And therefore He gives us difficult situations. Nisyonos are meant to pick us up, to bring us to the highest levels. From the garbage dump, from the smelly soot to the highest places. Hashem wants us to bring us up. And most of all, Hashem wants our tears. Eini Leah Rachosein. The eyes of Leah were filled with tears, and therefore her prayers were answered. Each and every one of us, we could be connected to Leah. I have said, I feel so humble today, sitting in front of the AFC. I was asked to daven in a different place this morning, and I said, I can't. I feel so connected to Leah and in tears. I came here to Hebron to daven in front of the scene of Leah. Every single person, no matter where they are in the world, they can be connected to the Tzion of Leah. The Baal Shem Tov says, wherever your mind is, that's where you are. You can bring yourself to this holy, holy place. Come to Eretz Yisrael and visit, but even if you're not near Eretz Yisrael, bring yourself to this holy place by connecting your heart to Leah Meno and her suffering and what she went through. And try to feel it. Try to feel what it means like. That from the early days of your life to be married to Esav Rasha, to be engaged for 20 years, however long it was, to Esav Rasha, and finally getting married and being hated by your husband. But a life of suffering. that Leah had. How many tears did she shed? But it was infinite mercy of Hashem. It was all Hashem's infinite mercy. Our Rizal says, if you have tears, just wipe them on your head. Every time we do an Avera, is writing our head. And says the Rizal, when you cry, put that tears on your head and erases the Averas. It brings us closer to Him. We can wipe away our Averas through tears because when a person cries, he brings himself to another level, to another world. When you cry, your eyes close with the stinging tears, and then you're connected to your heart. Because our biggest problem is the way we see the world. We see the world, what's happening, what's going on with our shidduchim, with our parnasa, with our health, with our children. Children are off the derech. People can't get shidduchim for their children. People have health problems. People are suffering from parnasa problems. All of these difficulties, we see the world through our eyes, and it causes us to make mistakes. We have to remember the eyes of Leah, that they were rachos, Eini Leah rachos heim. Remember Leah's eyes, and fill our eyes with tears. To be drenched with tears, streams and streams of tears coming down our eyes, not just for ourselves, but first to daven for other people. We daven for somebody else, and we need that. Hashem will answer our prayers. Because the goal of tefillah is to eliminate selfishness from our personality. And if we daven for someone else, we're eliminating selfishness from our personality. That's the key to our tefillahs to be answered. Hashem Yisbarach should answer all of our tefillahs quickly. Should help us cry. Should help us connect to Mama Leah and her tears and to feel her pain. And the Gula should come B'Karov. Because if you add all the pain in the world, every single person who's suffering, and you put it all together, it doesn't even equal one iota of what Hashem is suffering now. In the Gullus, the Gullus Amar, Hashem, the Gemara Bracha says, cries out every night, "Boy, to my children who are in the Gullus, Hashem wants to redeem us." We're so close to the Gula, all the Gedolim Tam. We're a millimeter away. We just have to strengthen ourselves. And Hashem will bring the Gula B'Karov. But most important is our tears. Hashem wants our tears. Boy, Hashem wants our heart. Please give Hashem your heart. Please cry out to Hashem for whatever you need. Turn to Him. Turn to Him for all your needs. And Hashem will answer us very, very quickly. Because He's Avarach Hamad. Amarachim Aleinu. It's the greatest mercy for us. Infinite, infinite mercy. I'll finish off with a beautiful idea since I'm right next to the kever of Avraham Avinu. The Kloisenberger Rebbe lost everybody. He lost his entire family in the Holocaust, his wife, his children, his parents, his grandparents, his uncles, his cousins, everybody was wiped out. Over 100 people. And he used to say, how am I different than Avraham Avinu? Avraham Avinu sacrificed one child. I sacrificed everybody. Said the Kloisenberger Rav that Avraham Avinu, it says in the Torah, he loved Yitzchak. Once it says in the Torah, then it becomes infinite. So it was infinite love. You can't possibly imagine the love that Avraham Avinu had for Yitzchak. But when Hashem told him to sacrifice him, it was taking that infinite love and giving it all to Hashem. We also could have infinite love. We can connect to that, to Leah Menu, to our tears, to connecting to the tears of Leah Menu, Mama Leah. We can have infinite love for the Torah. Give over everything and say to Hashem, I don't understand why I'm suffering so much. Oh, please help me. Please answer my tefillahs. If we do that, we'll be Zoichet Yeshua Gedolos Ma'id. And whoever wants, I have a special tefillah that Reb Rav that wrote for me when I was suffering. special tefillah, please write to me at dytravis613@gmail.com. It's dytravis613@gmail.com, and I'll send you a special tefillah from Rav Shlomo Brevda that he wrote for us. Brevda was a man whose heart was a gadol, whose heart was connected to every single Jew. It's Shlomo Leib. He had the chachma of Shlomo and the Leib of Leah. We should emulate his ways and the ways of Leah and the ways of all our Avos V'imais and all the Gedolei Yisrael, and turn to Hashem in heartfelt prayer. Amen. King.